She hasn't cried in front of anyone in years. She shows up early. She stays late. When something breaks, she's already fixing it. When someone else falls apart, she's already holding them together before they hit the floor. She doesn't ask for help. She doesn't complain. She smiles at the neighbor. She says, "I'm fine," before you even finish asking. She makes it look so easy that people forgot to check on her. And deep down, in a place she stopped looking at a long, long time ago, she is quietly falling apart. Here's the part nobody says out loud. The strongest woman in the room is often carrying the heaviest thing in the room. And that thing? It's not the job. It's not the bills. It's not the kids. It's something older. Something quieter. Something that started before the life she built. Something that doesn't show up on an X-ray, but shows up at 2 a.m. when everybody else is asleep, and she's still awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why she feels so empty. It's a wound, and it's been there longer than she wants to admit. This is for her. Part 1. The Woman Who Never Breaks. There's a saying that's been passed around in American small towns for generations. The oak doesn't bend, the willow does. But in a bad storm, the oak is the one that snaps. Strong women are the oaks. Their whole lives, they've been told, by mothers, by grandmothers, by the world they grew up in, that strength means keeping it together, that falling apart is weakness, that needing someone is a burden, that asking for help is just another word for failing. So they learned early, real early. They learned to hold it together when daddy left. They learned to keep calm when mama cried. They learned to smile through their own pain so nobody else had to feel it. They became the steady one, the responsible one, the one you call at midnight because you know she'll pick up. They are good at it. Lord, they are good at it. But here's what nobody tells them. Here's what the world skipped right over. Strength that was built inside pain. Strength that had to be learned because the world felt unsafe. That kind of strength has a shadow side, and the shadow is the wound. Brené Brown is a research professor at the University of Houston. She spent over 20 years studying courage, shame, and human connection. In her research, she found something that surprised even her. The people who seemed the most put together, the most self-sufficient, the most "I got this," were often the most disconnected. Not because they were broken, but because they had learned to survive by walling themselves off. And after a long enough time, they forgot the walls were even there. They weren't living behind walls anymore. They were the walls. That's not strength. That's armor. And armor gets heavy. The Bible speaks plainly on this. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." Not the put-together ones. Not the ones who have it figured out. The brokenhearted. Because God knows what the world keeps forgetting. Broken doesn't mean bad. Broken means honest. And honest is the only place healing can start. Part 2. What the hidden wound actually is. So what is this wound? It doesn't look the way you'd expect. It's not a bruise. It's not a scar anyone can see. It shows up in smaller ways. It's the way she tenses up when someone gets too close. It's the way she says, "I'm okay," automatically, before her brain even checks if that's true. It's the strange, heavy tiredness she carries, not from doing too much, but from feeling too little. Because she shut the feelings off so long ago that now she doesn't know how to turn them back on. That tiredness is the wound talking. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk is a medical doctor and one of the leading voices on pain and the human body in America. In his landmark book, The Body Keeps the Score, his research showed that deep pain, especially the kind that goes unspoken, unseen, and never dealt with, doesn't just disappear. It doesn't go anywhere. It lives inside the body. It shows up as tightness in the chest, headaches that sleep won't fix, a deep exhaustion that 8 hours of rest won't touch, The body holds what the mind refused to feel. Now, here's the part that catches most people off guard. This wound doesn't always come from one big terrible moment. It doesn't always come from something dramatic. Most of the time, it comes from 1,000 small things. Things that felt ordinary at the time. Things she didn't have a word for. It came from being told, "You're too sensitive," every single time she cried. It came from being the emotional caretaker of the whole family at 8 years old. It came from loving people who didn't know how to love her back the way she needed. It came from growing up in a house where love had conditions, where she had to earn it by being good, by being quiet, by making herself smaller. Dr. Judith Herman, a Harvard-trained psychiatrist and author of Trauma and Recovery, has a name for this kind of pain. She calls it complex trauma, not the kind that comes from one moment. The kind that builds up, quietly, slowly, layer by layer, year by year, until it becomes invisible, until it becomes just the way things are. She sees herself as the strong one, the one who handles things. She sees the world as a place where she cannot afford to come undone. And she's right about both. She is good at both. But underneath all of it, underneath the competence and the calm and the smile, she's been waiting for someone to look at her and ask, "Are you okay?" Not the polite version, the real version. Are you actually okay? Nobody ever asks, so she keeps going. Part 3. Why the wound stays hidden so long. This wound hides for a reason, and that reason goes all the way down into culture, into family, into the things passed from mother to daughter across generations like a handmade quilt. Except this one has thorns in it, in communities across America. Rural communities, southern communities, faith communities, immigrant communities. There is a phrase that gets handed down like a family heirloom. Keep it moving. Hold it together. Don't air your dirty laundry. Be strong for your family. These aren't bad ideas. They came from real places. They helped real women survive real hard seasons. Your great-great-grandmother, who raised 6 kids through the Great Depression, didn't have time to sit with her feelings. She had mouths to feed. She had bills past due. She had a family that needed her to hold the line, and she did. God bless her, she did. But here's where it goes wrong. What was survival in one generation becomes a prison in the next. When the hard times pass, or even when they don't, the habit of burying the pain stays. And it gets passed down, mother to daughter, grandmother to granddaughter. Be strong, baby. Don't let them see you cry. Pull yourself together. And the girls learn. Oh, they learn fast. The American Psychological Association has documented that women, especially those raised in communities that value emotional toughness, are significantly more likely to put off dealing with emotional pain. Not because they don't feel it, they feel everything, but because they were taught, early and often, that feeling it out loud makes you a burden. And being a burden is the one thing they were never allowed to be. So the wound stays, and it grows, and years go by. And one Tuesday afternoon, she finds herself sitting in a parked car outside the grocery store, crying, and she doesn't even know exactly why. She just knows it's been a long time coming. She just knows it's been building. She just knows something has to give. That cry is not a breakdown. That cry is the truth, finally finding a crack in the wall, and it is more than okay. Part 4. What God, science, and your grandma all agree on. Here's where something beautiful happens. God and science don't always seem to agree. But on this one thing, this one deep, important thing, they are standing in the same place, pointing in the same direction. In Matthew 11:28, Jesus speaks directly. He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He didn't say, "Come to me when you've got it figured out." He didn't say, "Come to me when you're strong enough." He said, "Come as you are, weary, burdened. tired in ways you can't even explain. Come, and now hear what science has found. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute, a research organization based in Boulder Creek, California, have studied what happens inside the body when people are finally able to name and process emotional pain they've carried in silence. When people stop holding it in and actually let themselves feel it, the body's stress levels drop, the heart rate smooths out, mental clarity exhales. The body quite literally exhales. They call it emotional processing and release. The Bible calls it rest. Your grandmother probably called it having yourself a good cry and letting the Lord have it. Same thing. 3 different languages. One truth: there's a piece of American folk wisdom that has lived in kitchen tables and church pews and front porches for a very long time. A good cry clears the way. Not because it's weak, because it's true. Proverbs 31:25, in the New Living Translation, describes the kind of woman the Bible holds up as the standard. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. Read that slowly. It doesn't say she never hurts. It doesn't say she never doubts. It doesn't say she never cries in her car on a Tuesday. It says she laughs without fear of the future. That kind of peace, the deep in your bones, settled kind, doesn't come from being unbreakable. It comes from being healed. There is a world of difference between those two things. Unbreakable means you white-knuckle your way through everything and never let anyone see you struggle. Healed means you walked through the fire and came out the other side. And now you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you can survive it again. Isaiah 43:2 speaks to exactly that. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. Through. Not around. Not above. Not skipping it. Through. The healing is on the other side of the water, but you have to walk through. Part 5. 5 real steps to finally heal. This is the part you've been waiting for, because understanding the wound is one thing, but what do you actually do? These 5 steps are simple. They are not easy. There is a difference. But they are real, they are honest, and they work. Step 1. Name it. You cannot heal what you refuse to look at. That's not a line from a research paper. That's plain truth that every farmer, every pastor, every grandmother, and every honest friend has known for 100 years. Start small. Start honest. What is the thing you've been carrying the longest? What is the hurt that hides behind your smile every single day? What would you say if someone actually promised to listen, really listen, without flinching? Write it down. Say it in the mirror. Whisper it to God in the car, with the windows up. Name it. Psalm 147. 3 promises. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. But a wound that's been kept in the dark can't be bound up. It has to come into the light first, even just a little. Even just between you and God, name it. Step 2. Grieve what was lost. A lot of strong women never grieved, because grieving felt like a luxury. It felt indulgent. It felt like something you do when you have time, and she never had time. But grief is not indulgent. Grief is the cost of love, and the cost of loss. Maybe you lost a childhood that should have been safer. Maybe you lost a marriage that should have been kinder. Maybe you lost years of yourself, poured out for everyone else, never poured back in. You are allowed to mourn that. You are allowed to stand in the place of that loss and say, that wasn't right. That wasn't fair. And it hurt me. There is an old piece of wisdom passed down through farming communities across the American Midwest. You can't plant new seeds in soil you've never turned over. Grief turns the soil. It clears the old, dead roots. It makes room for something new. Give yourself permission to grieve. You're not being dramatic. You're being human. Step 3. Let one person in. Not the whole world. Just one. One person who is safe. One person who won't jump in to fix it, won't rush past it, won't say you've been through worse, or at least you've got. One person who will simply sit with you inside it without looking for the exit. Step 4. Get help if you need it. Say this plainly. Say it without flinching. There is no shame in seeing a counselor. None. Zero. Not a drop. If your arm was broken, you'd go to the doctor. This is the same thing in many communities across this country, especially in rural America and in communities of faith. There is still a real stigma around asking for mental and emotional help. Just pray about it. Just push through. You don't need a stranger in your business. Prayer is powerful. Absolutely it is. Community is powerful. Faith is powerful. But God also gave us healers. He gave us people trained in the science of how human minds and hearts work and how they can recover. In the United States, if you're not sure where to start, you can call or text 988. That's the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, operated through SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, a U.S. government agency. Real people answer, free of charge, any time of day or night. Using that number is not a sign of weakness. It's one of the wisest decisions a person can make. Step 5. Build a new story. The old story says, I am the strong one. I don't need help. I carry the weight. I hold it together. The new story says something different. I am a woman who has been through real things. I carry real scars. I am healing, and I am still here. That second story is not weaker than the first one. It is so much stronger. Because the first story is armor. The second story is truth. And there's a saying that lives in old church buildings and dusty country roads from Georgia to Texas. And it goes like this. The truth will set you free, but first it'll make you uncomfortable. John 8:32 puts it in God's own words. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Not comfortable, not pain-free, not overnight, free. Close, the truth she needs to hear. If you've made it this far, there's something that needs to be said directly to you, not to the audience. To you, you have been strong for a very long time, and that strength is real. It has carried real people through real storms. Don't let anyone take that from you. But the wound is also real. Carrying it this long, this quietly, without ever letting anyone help you tend to it, that is not strength anymore. That is just surviving. And you were made for more than surviving. You were made for mornings when your chest doesn't feel like it's weighted down. For relationships where you don't have to perform. For rest that actually restores you. For laughter that doesn't have something aching underneath it. Proverbs 31:25 says, she laughs without fear of the future. That is not a far-off dream. That is a real destination. Not the pretend version of you. Not the performance version. The real, healed, whole version that has been waiting underneath all that armor for a long, long time. You were never meant to carry this alone. You are not too broken to be healed. You are not too far gone to come back. You are not too late. Psalm 34:18. One more time. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Not far from them, close. Right here, right now. Even in the car. Even in the quiet of 2 a.m. when everyone else is asleep. And you're the only one still awake. Holding the weight of things nobody knows you're carrying. He is close. And healing doesn't start when you have everything figured out. It starts with one honest moment. One real breath. One decision to stop pretending, even just for today, that you are fine. You don't have to have it all together. You just have to start. That is enough. You are enough. Start today.